Hey guys, the reason why women test you is actually a good thing, because if they weren't testing you, well, then you wouldn't even be in the running. So before we get started, if you dislike tests as much as I do, hit the subscribe button. No, hit the like button. Yes. Also hit the subscribe button. If you're new to my channel, my name is Jorgensen. Welcome to Just the Tip Tuesday. Biological differences. We're going to go through the biological differences because they're going to help you understand why she tests and whether or not she's serious or if it is just a test. The biological differences between men and women are simply that when you were in your mom's womb, all cozy and snug in there, you were marinating in a lot more testosterone than I was. And that means that you were born with a lot more physical strength. Your muscle density is, I think it's 20 to 30% stronger than a woman's in general, biologically. Your grip strength is much stronger. You also are more aggressive. And yes, you want to spread your seed, so you, biologically at least, are more horny. Okay, so keeping that in mind, women don't have the physical strength that you have to be able to protect themselves. So we've developed other means of staying safe. No, it's not fun. But the good news again is that if she's testing you, you at least are in the running. Because if you're not in the running at all, she'll have no reason to test you. Because you're not in the running at all. She'll never need to count on you. She'll never need to know she can trust you. She'll never need to know that you can keep her safe. That's the bottom line. Women's primary need is to be safe physically and emotionally. And so that's why women test men, is to basically find out if you have a backbone and if that assertive alpha masculine quality, if you have those traits, are they going to actually keep her safe or are they going to put her in harm's way? Let's go into a true story, a case study. So this was a while ago. Once upon a time, there was a woman who met a guy. She kind of liked him, but he, on their very first date, he said that he'd just been fired from his job without just cause. And when she asked him what he was going to do about that, he said nothing. He didn't want to be bothered by having to deal with that type of conflict. Now, when she'd met him, it was a couple months. He was still out of work. He was broke. It wasn't like he had lots of money in the bank and he had, a good buffer to be able to support himself. But right away, of course, you can see that she's not going to feel emotionally safe with a man who could potentially put their future at risk by not being able to stand up for himself. Because if he can't stand up for himself, he's not going to be able to stand up for her or their future kids or their family and so on. And that might put her in a situation where she's got to pick up the slack and be the mommy and the daddy in the relationship. And that is not appealing to a woman. You have to come on, is that attractive? No, of course not. So that's why women test. And of course, if a woman says, hey, do you have a backbone? What guy is going to say no? Like, there's very few men who are going to be honest about that, because if they truly don't, like if you're too nice or you're a people pleaser, it's going to be really hard to admit that maybe you don't have a backbone because you really want it to be true, and you're hoping in your mind or maybe even in your heart that you can work on that and develop a backbone, and you believe that you can protect her, but she needs to see the actions that support that. So if there isn't the proof from your past behavior, then what does she have to go on? Same as you. If you're looking at a woman or considering a woman as your potential partner, you need to consider what her past has been about, because that's the only thing you have to gauge. You don't know what her future behavior will be like, but you do know what her past behavior is like. So the same thing with women when they're testing men, is they are looking at, how are you handling this situation? And in this case, with the guy who lost his job, how did he handle that situation? How was he going to handle other similar situations in the future? So she still liked him. even though that was, a bit of a red flag for her. But because she liked him, she actually tested him. And the reason why was because she was starting with a failed test already. Like, he had already proven that he wasn't willing to stand up for himself and to go for what was, what he's entitled to and deserves. So when she tests him, it's an opportunity for him to prove that he has a backbone. And if you come out of the gate strong without, any showing any weaknesses, then she won't have to test you unless she's emotionally damaged and she likes the drama, or she doesn't trust herself. Repeat, or she doesn't trust herself because of bad decisions she's made in the past. So that doesn't mean you still don't handle it properly. And what I mean by properly is effectively, so that she won't test you more, or you'll filter her out if she is damaged goods. But all healthy women will test you a little bit in the beginning if she sees signs of weakness, which can only be shown by you displaying them. Unfortunately, with this guy, everything she said, he agreed to. If she changed her mind, he changed his mind. He never made any suggestions about things to do, always let her lead. He was like a child in a way. And, as I've said in some of my other videos, if a woman goes into mother mode, that maternal mode is not arousal mode. She can't be attracted to you when she feels like she's the one who's taking care of you and or the relationship. That's why guys who are too nice often get rejected. And if you haven't seen my video on why nice guys get rejected, then you'll probably want to watch that. And I will leave a link below. And again, remember that men are bigger, stronger, more aggressive by nature, and hornier. So women have grown to not trust right away. It would be unreasonable to expect a woman to trust someone that she doesn't know. Here's a good way of thinking about it, so you could potentially understand her point of view. So because men are 20 to 30% bigger, stronger, etc., you have to imagine that you live in a world where there are no women at all. No women in the world, but there are 50% of the population linebackers who are 20 to 30% bigger and stronger than you, and hornier and more aggressive, and they want to bleep you. In fact, there are statistics showing that some of those linebackers are bleeping guys just like you without consent. Does that make you feel safe or less safe? Probably less safe. If that was the world you lived in, you might want to filter, maybe even test the safety of being around those linebackers in general. No offense to any linebackers, you're just the biggest guys I can think of right now. And toughest, I think. Well, maybe not toughest, but up there. Anyways, you get the point. So this is the world that women live in. Women actually live in constant fear. Now, it's a low-level underlying fear. We don't consciously think about it everywhere we go, but we do at least unconsciously, subconsciously think about it wherever we go. We're always wondering where the exit is, where we feel safe, and what our surroundings are, our physical surroundings. So if you can imagine, whenever a woman feels safe enough to spend time alone with you, that's pretty major, knowing what she knows and now knowing what you know. And that's why if you handle her tests well, if you handle it effectively, she may not like it in the moment, but she will respect you and she will actually feel safer with you for handling that test effectively. Sometimes that means you got to put her in her place. Now, I've done other videos on how to handle specific tests, so you'll definitely want to check those out. I'll link them at the end. But in the meantime, that's the reason. Just understand that's the reason why women test. If they constantly test, even when you've handled various little tests, the best anybody could expect, then she's probably damaged. She's probably emotionally damaged. And again, she doesn't trust herself and she doesn't trust her past choices. She doesn't trust the past choices she's made with men. So it might not have something to do with you, but all you can do is what you can do. So just before we get into, is she serious or is she testing? You want to just remember that the tests are a good thing because they either, one, allow you to prove your alpha masculine dominance to the keepers of the world, or two, they reveal the emotionally damaged women that you need to filter out and throw back. So how to know if she's serious or if it's just a test. Okay, basically, if she's serious, then she's going to want to talk about it further. It won't be just in this moment, we have a fight, we break up, or we whatever, and then, you make up and it's done. She will want to resolve it. Now, if she's emotionally damaged, even if you do try to resolve it, that doesn't mean you should actually stay with her or that she's good news bears. She might be bad news bears. But if she's emotionally healthy, even emotionally healthy people, men and women, have triggers. So we all have triggers, but if she's able to come back to a calm state, maybe not right in the moment, but if she's able to come back to a calm state and still wants to discuss it, then that means it is something that is more serious to her. And you do need to discuss it for the sake of your relationship. The litmus test for whether she's emotionally damaged, and everything's going to be a test because that's who she is, or she's actually a healthy, emotionally healthy woman, a high value woman who maybe got triggered, either rightfully or not rightfully, that you need to discuss it with, is if she's got lots of qualities in my She's a Keeper video and few qualities in my red flags video, then that's a good sign that even though she might have been triggered or she might have been testing, that it is something serious that you need to discuss. Now, if you handle it well, again, you can look at my other video on how to handle specific tests, then she should feel satisfied, and you can even turn that into immediate physical intimacy if you handle it well. But if it's the opposite, she has very few qualities in the She's the Keeper video and a lot of qualities in the red flags video, then no matter what you do, even if you handle every test perfectly, there's probably going to be continuous tests because she's just not an emotionally healthy person. And remember that if you stay with someone who is emotionally damaged, who is consciously or subconsciously sabotaging the relationship, then once you become aware of that, then you actually are choosing to sabotage your own relationship and your own life. And you might want to look at why you're doing that. So you definitely want to watch my video on how to handle tests effectively and how to test her to make sure that she is a keeper. Watch those now.